If I'd have worried that precious time was slipping by without having encountered a single swift, I needn't have on 2 counts. First, by mid-May, swifts had been sighted in promising numbers across the county, so I felt bound to bump into one somewhere. Second, perhaps not so reassuringly, time itself doesn't exist. It's a mere illusion. Only change exists, and in thinking this pesky phantom we call time is for real, we encounter all sorts of problems in our theory of things. That's according to physicist and part-time swifter Julian Barber, who has spent probably 70 seasons living among swifts and, perhaps for 50 of those, using mind-boggling maths and well-oiled logic to substantiate his argument. Julian lives out his time, or rather, as he might put it, his Platonia, his universe of nows, in a place where time as we know it appears to stand still. His home, 17th century College Farm, is in the well-preserved village of South Newington and stands next to a beguiling medieval church where, if you step inside, turn a deceptive ear from the steady tick of the church clock and cast your eyes around the 14th century wall paintings, you'd be forgiven for thinking you'd arrive by TARDIS. That is, until that sound distracts you, the one up until now I'd only heard on CD. Stepping outside, sickle-shaped silhouettes darted and screeched to and fro, as Julian welcomed me to his home, not to talk about time and change and Platonia, but about what it's like to live out a life surrounded by swifts.
I grew up in South Newington. My parents brought me here when I was 3 in 1940. I can't be absolutely sure whether there were swifts around then, but I suspect strongly that there were. Certainly there have been swifts, I know for sure, for a good 50 years, because my brother lived in this house from about 1963, and there were certainly swifts then. So they've been around, and the tiles under which they nest have been like that for centuries, since the house was built. It's just amazing to see the speed at which they rush under those tiles, how they manage to stop themselves from crashing and killing themselves as they come in, I don't know. But also they're such remarkable birds. I mean, this fact that they fly for such an immense amount of time without coming down on anything solid except when they nest, and how they catch water. I mean, I didn't know. I thought they just lived off the liquid they got out of the insects, but apparently they do catch raindrops while they're falling and scoop down and get water off lakes. So all of that makes them particularly fascinating birds.
Finally, swifts all around. My senses were roused by the thrill of it all, but there was still sufficient stale air between the slow-turning mechanism of my mind to ask the obvious question: why should we conserve these birds?
Very important that they should be conserved. I wasn't aware of the decline in their numbers in England, and I think it would be a fearful pity. I mean, we're missing the cuckoo. I haven't heard a cuckoo here now for 3 years, and they say the numbers have declined by 65%. But I think it would be a fearful shame if the swifts die out in this country. I don't know around here, but I get the impression it's in these small villages like South Newington, it's only about every 3rd village has a colony. And there was, of course, the time a while ago when we had a wretched cat who could catch them in flight. That was really amazing, two amazing animals, if you like. The cat would leap literally 6 feet in air and catch them in flight. Several mornings my wife found the outermost wing feathers of the poor birds by the back door, but that doesn't seem to have eliminated the colony at all. And that autumn the cat was run over, so I suppose one could say that was nature as it happens or something. They make such a tremendously exciting noise, and it's just perfect to go out in the summer evening. As I say, as it gets dusk in June, it's just fantastic out in the garden there with them swooping around. And I would say they're swooping around for a good hour and a half. Most evenings, I think, but I shall start keeping a record now.
I left Julian with the distinctive voice of the swifts ringing in my mind. A voice to which I could finally put a face, a cute, knowing little button of a face. That of a wheeling, physics-defying creature from some parallel world, 1,000,000 miles from mine of f-stops, sluggish broadband and 150 pence per litre petrol. I'd encountered something from a different place and time completely. I'd encountered magic.